Today we're going to be talking about perineal massage in pregnancy and perineal massage during pushing, the difference between the two, how to actually do it in a way that will support you in reducing your risk for tearing. Perineal massage is not just about stretching the vagina to try to make it stretchier for birth or whatever. Perineal massage really can be an amazing tool to support us in feeling safe in the presence of pressure. And this is one of my favorite aspects about perineal massage and how, so many people are approaching it incorrectly. We are trying to focus on stretching as far as we can, which might feel uncomfortable. Moms feel kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that again. I didn't really love that. So it's like we approach perineal massage from this place of trying to push ourselves through discomfort so that we can hopefully experience less discomfort later. And I find that that really isn't a great approach. Instead, a better way to support you in preparing for relaxing and reducing the risk for tearing and bringing your baby out slowly and comfortably is to use perineal massage to support you emotionally in preparing. So your body has this normal 2 steps forward, 1 step back process that it guides the baby through to protect your perineum. And I'm actually writing a book about this right now, which I'm really excited about. It'll be my first book. So babies, they go through this normal process where they go 2 steps forward and then 1 step back, and then 2 steps forward and then 1 step back, and then 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? Working all the way up to crown. Sometimes that 2 steps forward, 1 step back process can take a long time, like an hour or more. Other times, this 2 steps forward, 1 step back process happens very, very quickly, and babies kind of go all of a sudden, whoop, a little bit back, whoop, a little bit back, whoop, and we're here, right? This is how pushing with most of my children has been. It's just been very quickly. So I'm not here to tell you exactly how it's going to go, but typically for most people, the baby will take some kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back process. If you were lying on your side, perhaps, and someone was holding your leg up during pushing, this is probably what they would see. Vagina closed. During a contraction and a push, the vagina opens a little bit and then the baby moves forward, and maybe we can see a little bit of the baby's head, and then it goes away. On the next contraction with pushing, it opens a little bit more and we see a little bit more of the baby's head, and then it goes away. And on the next contraction, we see a little bit more of the baby's head, right? And we're kind of slowly working our way all the way to crown. Sometimes we can crown just for about 45 seconds to a minute, which is about the time in between contractions right during delivery. Other times people can crown a little bit longer, sometimes for several minutes. Sometimes it's we're about here and then we're here and then we're here, one contraction brings us here, the other contraction brings us here, the next one brings us here. So sometimes it can be a little bit slower and sometimes it's fast. So there are lots of different ways that baby can travel through. What's important for everyone to know, whether you have an epidural or you're having an unmedicated birth, is that if you can relax and release tension and not add any extra force and allow this process to go slowly, that can significantly reduce your risk for tearing. This is your body's normal, natural process, protective to the perineum, that we get in the way of when we bring in fear. There's a lot of pressure, I just want to get the baby out, and we add extra force and we push the baby out too quickly, right? That fear can absolutely skip past that process and send the baby out quickly and increase the risk for tearing. Also, when we are routinely having everyone push as hard as they can, right, to the count of 10. With an epidural, directed pushing is often recommended because often moms don't experience that fetal ejection reflex with an epidural. There is an evidence-based way to reduce the risk of tearing with an epidural, and that would be to do laboring down. So that means you get an epidural and we choose to wait a little bit for that urge to push or for the feeling of pressure, or until we've confirmed baby's a little bit lower. There are some organizations like ACOG that do not recommend it. There are other organizations like NICE that do recommend it. And I just released a video not too long ago on laboring down, so you can go check that out if you want to see what the research has to say. But a recent study did find that the rate for tearing was quite low in the group that chose to do the laboring down. So that is one thing you can do. And with directed pushing with an epidural, it's not like you have to get on your back with your legs as far as you can and just push, push, and push. Instead, we can be in hands and knees, we can be lying on our side, we can try different positions, and we can tell our providers and support people when the baby's head starts to get near crowning, I want to focus on slow, deep breathing. I don't want to add extra force through that, and have a conversation with your provider about how can we do directed pushing with an epidural in a way that's also protective to my perineum and slows down when the baby's head is starting to deliver. That's something that I recommend you do. But in an unmedicated birth, you'll feel the pressure of baby's head coming down, likely because most of the time in an unmedicated birth, your body's spontaneously pushing, which means you aren't adding any extra force. Your body does it. Your body spontaneously, with the Ferguson reflex and the fetal ejection reflex combined, will eject the baby from your body and give you the spontaneous urge to push. It's involuntary. It's not something that we can say like, okay, I'm going to push now, I'm going to stop pushing. It happens. Right? It kind of looks like that. Your body just spontaneously pushes, your tummy muscles contract. Moms might get a little bit grunty. This is happening spontaneously. We want to slow down and relax and allow that process to work. That means when you get the reflex, we relax, let the reflex come. When the reflex is over, it goes away, we go back into relaxing. We let the reflex come, we let our body push, we go back into relaxing. We're not holding our breath and engaging our muscles and adding extra force on top of that reflex. There is a time and a place to add extra force and try to expedite delivery. If the baby's heart tones aren't doing well and we want to try to get the baby out faster, obviously that is a time to try to speed it up. Otherwise, it is okay to trust your body, let your body guide the way, and allow this 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back process to happen so that you aren't going from closed to open, but you're opening and opening and opening slowly over time, and that can help protect your perineum by allowing it the opportunity to stretch. In my coaching program, I teach a 4-step process to reducing tear risk. The first one would be understanding an approach to pushing that honors physiology and reduces tear risk. The second would be having the evidence-based education, right? And implementing evidence-based tools to reduce your risk for tearing. That's like a warm compress, being in a certain position, things like that. Having the emotional preparation tools to feel safe in the presence of pressure. And then also having the advocacy to protect all of that. These 4 steps have led the first 100 of my one-on-one coaching clients to have outcomes 9 times better than the national average when it comes to avoiding tearing and cesarean. Specifically, 91 did not tear out of those first 100, which is really, really incredible, not even a 1st-degree tear. And I want to say that tearing can happen sometimes and it's natural. It's natural and normal for your body to have a little tear. Maybe that's what your body needed to do to get your baby out. But those more severe tears can be painful. They can lead to pelvic floor dysfunction and challenges in the future. And often they can be prevented. The tears that go deeper into the muscle, like 2nd, 3rd, and 4th-degree tears. And unfortunately, the way that we approach pushing is really antithetical to what best protects the perineum. This directed pushing, where you're pushing as hard as you can routinely, where moms maybe don't get the right kind of pelvic floor support. They don't do the right kind of emotional support or emotional preparation because we just don't know how or what to do or that it's even important. But really, truly, one of the best ways you can reduce the risk for tearing is by feeling safe in the presence of pressure and training your body to do that. And this is why my students have such great outcomes. So today we're going to specifically focus on just one tool in that 4-step process. In step number 3, the emotional preparation, we're going to focus on one tool, which is perineal massage. I teach many different tools for the emotional preparation. This is one of my favorites. Do they commonly stitch a tear, even if it's 1st degree, or does it depend on your provider? That's a really great question. 1st degree tears often, no, they don't stitch, but tears deeper into the muscle are often stitched. And every provider will do this a little bit differently. Some providers will say, oh, we could just give you a few stitches, but you might not need them. And you can kind of make that choice. But just know you always have the option to decline stitches if you don't want them. There are people who get tears a little deeper into the muscle and they choose not to stitch. Instead, they use seaweed. They lay in bed for many weeks with their legs together and they don't walk up and down the stairs or anything like that. So that is definitely an option. And every provider is different. I do know providers who don't really offer stitches unless it's a pretty severe tear, and other providers who will stitch no matter what degree it is. So it really depends on the provider, but no, you always have the right to make the choice that feels best to you. In step 3, one of my favorite tools, perineal massage. I reserve the whole thing for my coaching program. For those of you who are not in the program and who are interested in just talking to me more about it, you can book a free birth breakthrough session with me, and I'll clarify the steps needed for you to go into birth feeling confident and prepared, and also explore how the coaching program could be a good fit for you. So Without further ado, perineal massage in pregnancy is one of my favorites, and the reason why is because it helps you to train your pelvic floor to respond to pressure with relaxation. So there are a few different ways that you can do this. You can use perineal massage to support you as you are visualizing your birth, as you're saying affirmations. You can do perineal massage in a way that's helping you practice to release and relax into pressure and build positive associations to pressure. So let's talk about exactly how to do that. First, let's go over perineal massage and what that looks like. I have a vulva. Hello, beautiful vulva. We are going to just kind of demonstrate what perineal massage looks like first. First off, I'll say you could do this with your partner. You could do this with yourself. If you do it with yourself, you probably want to stand up, put one leg up on the edge of a bathtub. If you're in the shower, on a stool, reach down with your thumb and then do the massage that way. If you are with a partner who can do this for you, you could lie in your bed. If being on your back is a little bit uncomfortable, you could put one pillow under one hip so you're propped up on the side a little bit if you want to do that. Or you could both get in the shower facing each other. Partner can reach down and do perineal massage that way with your leg up on the edge of the bathtub. So you can start perineal massage at 35 weeks, and I recommend doing it twice a week from 35 weeks on until you have your baby. Perineal massage is done by having someone, or you can also use a tool. I find that tools aren't really that necessary often, but you can use one if you want one, to insert a finger and then to kind of do a very gentle pull on one side. So if you can imagine the vaginal opening as a clock, we want to insert a finger and then just do a little bit of gentle pressure on one side of the clock towards like 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock and below. 3 to 6 and below. We don't need to do anything up here, 3 to 6 and below. So we can just do a little bit of a gentle pull. We're not trying to stretch the vagina wide open. We're not trying to get a lot of fingers inside of you. That's not the goal. The goal is just to do a little bit of stretching, a little gentle pressure. We're approaching this with curiosity, with exploration. We're going to see what this new feeling of sensation is like. Wow, what does it feel like to have new pressure? Can I feel safe and calm in the presence of pressure? We're approaching it from curiosity, and that piece is really, really important. So we're going to insert one finger and just a gentle little pressure to the side. We could also do a little bit of circles, gentle circles to the side. Maybe after about 30 seconds of that, we can move down a little bit further and now do this spot. Gentle downward pressure, open a little bit, and then a little bit of circles. Then we can do it on the other side, gentle downward pressure, and a little bit of circles, right? You could do this for about 15 minutes. You could do it longer if you want to, but I think 15 minutes is a good amount of time. So one of the ways that you can perform perineal massage to build positive associations to the feeling of pressure is to do it in a way that is sexy and brings you pleasure, with or without a partner. So I recommend using a lubricant. You can use olive oil. And I teach this because some people do perineal massage, like a normal Tuesday night, we're gonna just try to like put something in your vagina and like see how it feels. And it doesn't feel very good. And then moms come to me and they're like, Victoria, it was like so challenging. It just like, it was so uncomfortable. We just used like one finger. I can't imagine using more fingers. Like, now I'm freaking out about birth. When you are it's like a normal Tuesday night and you're doing perineal massage, you are not in the physiology for birth. You are in your normal end of the day physiology, right? And so you're not in the place physically to have a baby come out of you, to have your vagina stretch wide open. When you're giving birth, your vagina will open easily. It's basically like a long muscular envelope. That envelope, in the presence of hormones, in the presence of secretions, will soften, will open, will be lubricated, and baby can come through easily, right? Birth is meant to be a smooth and natural, normal physiological process. So all of these things that need to happen will happen in order for your baby to come out smoothly. So I just want all of you to know that and remember that. The reason why I recommend making it sexy, if that's something you're open to doing, is because when we make it sexy, we are entering the physiology similar to birth. Not the same level of hormones, obviously, but the same environment that got your baby in is the same environment that's going to get your baby out. We need the same hormones. Oxytocin, right, is the hormone of love. It helps you feel relaxed, it helps you feel connected, and it gives you orgasms. Oxytocin is also the hormone that causes your uterus to contract. So we can't have an orgasm if we're stressed. we can't give birth, or sometimes we can, but it's a lot harder and it gets interrupted often, right? If we're really stressed. So sex and birth are very similar. Orgasm and birth are very similar, and pleasure is an inherent part of birth. It's not something that everyone experiences, but some people do experience pleasure during birth. So doing a birth preparation practice that invites pleasure, I think, is a really beautiful way to invite pleasure into your birth. And I'm not saying like you could do all the things and still not experience pleasure during your birth and still have a birth that's maybe very painful or very challenging. And maybe you can build practices where you're thinking about your birth, processing your birth, preparing for birth, and implementing pleasure, and maybe that will help you kind of bring pleasure into your birth, and you do have pleasure in your birth. So we can't know exactly how it will go, but I just want to open your mind to see that pleasure is a part of birth, is something that many people do experience, and it starts with just opening our mind to that possibility and learning how to create the internal environment of safety. Imagine that you are about to orgasm, and then someone comes and they knock at the door. So you're like working on it and you're getting like right to that peak and you're almost there, and then someone like bang, bang, bang on your door. Your body is going to send a flood of stress hormones, and those stress hormones are going to cause you to go, eat, right? Like, oh no. And then they will block oxytocin, and then the orgasm will die, right? It's going to like stop in its tracks because you don't feel safe anymore. Now, if you tell your brain, it's okay, brain, that person was just, it was someone dropping off some mail or whatever, they're gone now, not a big deal, right? You can tell yourself that it doesn't matter. Your body has already sent the stress signal out. So your body doesn't know, like you can't talk your mind out of this physiological stress response. We can't. Instead, we just have to get ourselves back into that calm and relaxed place and find that safety again that we just lost with a little bit of that startle, right? And so we can't like pick back up where we left off. We have to begin at the beginning. Birth is very, very similar. It can be so easily disrupted, and that can cause us to release stress. And it's so important that during the pushing phase, we have relationships with our nervous system regulation. We have relationships to that part of our body that is positive, that are positive. So that when we feel the pressure baby's head come down, instead of feeling stressed or afraid, we have also the advocacy to protect us, right? So instead of having like people instructing you, telling you what to do, and you kind of feeling scared, like we've created an environment that supports you in feeling safe. All of that is going to allow normal physiology. It's going to allow your hormones to work. It's going to open up the possibility for you to be able to really connect with your body and feel safe and allow that 2 steps forward, 1 step back process to be intact. And it all starts with learning how to create safety within ourselves in the presence of pressure. And building pleasure relationships, incorporating pleasure into this process, I think, is a very, very beautiful way to prepare. So if you wanted to make it sexy, you could use a vibrator, by yourself. You could have your partner, if you're standing facing each other in the bathtub or like in the shower and your foot is on the bathtub, right? They could do clitoral stimulation and then, do perineal massage, like do whatever you want. In your room, you could like lit candles. You can make it really nice, use olive oil for lubricant and, do whatever you want that feels good. What I recommend though, is that you take penetration off the table. If you're with a partner that has a penis and wants to, do penetration, if we do something for you, something for me, we don't want that. We don't love that at all. We don't want to bring that into our space. This is about you preparing your body and preparing emotionally to feel safe in the presence of pressure so you can have a more positive birth experience. So we're just focusing on that tonight. And if you feel later like, yes, this is what I want, that's okay. But we don't want any of that pressure there because we can't open under pressure. We can't as women. It doesn't work that way. Desire and pleasure and joy and that freedom, right, of sexual expression that comes from the absence of pressure, it comes from freedom. So we want to create that space. And so you're welcome to incorporate that however you want to. Next, let's go into some ways that you can prepare emotionally by visualizing, using affirmation, and feeling your birth intention in your body. So when the perineal massage is being performed, you can do one of 3 things. You can try one night the visualization, the other night the affirmations. You also might find that like, wow, I visualize and that's the best thing for me and I'm going to keep doing that. Or try all 3. So the purpose of these 3 different tools you can use is to give you a tool that you've practiced, built a relationship with, so then when you're actually pushing your baby out, you can use that tool again. And that tool, that affirmation, that feeling in your body, that visualization is going to help bring you back to what we're practicing now, which is like, I'm so relaxed, I'm so safe and yummy, right? And I can feel pressure and my body knows what to do. You know what I mean? So the first one is visualization. Experience the perineal massage when you are applying pressure or someone else is applying pressure. Choose to visualize your baby at full crown. And imagine your baby is right here. Yay, here's my baby. My baby's almost here. Like, see your baby. Feel that feeling of like, wow, my baby's almost here, right? While you're imagining your baby coming through. And I invite you to imagine your baby coming through so smoothly and easily. They just like are gliding right out. Your vagina opens so easily. And it's like, wow, I'm amazing. This is so easy, right? We want to kind of like step into that vibe. Is it okay to begin perineal massage before 35 weeks? Yes. You're welcome to begin perineal massage before 35 weeks if you want to. You can definitely start at 32 weeks. The research has found that when you start at 35, as a first-time mom, that is when the benefit of reducing tear risk comes into play. Research has not found that there is benefit for a mom who's already had a baby. But that being said, the emotional preparation, which is not research, but is something that I have observed in myself and my hundreds of clients I've supported over the years, is that when we do that emotional preparation, that can really support them in reducing the risk for tearing and feeling more confident about birth. And that can start anytime. If you want to do it sooner, that's totally okay. But I do recommend at 35 starting it. If you are beyond 35 weeks, that's okay. There is no time that is too late. Even if you do it one time at 41 weeks and then you have your baby, maybe your birth was better off because of that one time. So yeah. Anyway, so going back to what we're talking about with the 3 steps. So that was visualization. The next one would be the use of affirmations. So say some kind of affirmation, and we want this to be your mantra, your pushing mantra, reducing tear risk mantra, right? And it could be a few different things too. For example, one of my coaching clients who had an amazing hospital birth with no tearing, her mantra was, my vagina is so big. And so she would do perineal massage and then practice, my vagina is so big, my vagina is so big. Then when she's pushing her baby out, she was going, my vagina is so big, my vagina is so big. And she said that felt great. It was really helpful for her. You can also say, I am soft, I am open. I am soft, I am open. I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. My body was made to do this. My body was made to do this. My vagina is so stretchy. My vagina is so stretchy, right? Something like that. I want to pick a vagina mantra that's going to help you feel safe in relaxing those muscles and focus on relaxing those muscles. And we're building a relationship with this mantra by practicing it, right? If you just hear that or say that in birth, it might not be as effective compared to in pregnancy, saying it repeatedly, right? And then also feeling the feeling of relaxation while you're saying it. So you're building a relationship with it. The next one would be to feel your birth intention in your body. If you're in my coaching program, I would take you through a discovery process to help you connect to your birth intention. Your birth intention is a feeling in your body, something that you want to feel and experience in your body during birth. That's your birth intention, the way you want to bring your baby into the world. This becomes the foundation for all of the emotional preparation work that we do going forward. And so I highly recommend connecting to that. And if you're in my coaching program, that's something I'd help you with. And so when we find that feeling in our body, then we can choose to feel that feeling of joy, that feeling of peace, that feeling of calm, whatever it is that you want. Choose to feel that feeling while we're doing the perineal massage, while you're experiencing new feelings of pressure. I'm feeling a new feeling of pressure, and I am so relaxed and safe. And I'm so joyful knowing my baby's coming, right? Whatever it is. Align with that feeling. In the coaching program, I give you different tools to create a relationship with that feeling. So you practice it by controlling your attention. And that's like a whole nother thing. But when we build neurological connections through practice and repetition, we give the body easier access to being able to feel these feelings and align with them during birth. So that's a really great way to do that, is during the perineal massage. The next piece to perineal massage that I'd like to cover is to use it to train your pelvic floor to respond to pressure with relaxation. So I'm not sure if any of you have experienced penetration that maybe is like you're with your partner and it's like a little, you're like, maybe it's on the edge of being a little too deep, or like maybe you might poke my cervix, and like, you know what I mean? It kind of feels like that. If you notice that come up, maybe like, have you noticed that your muscles kind of tense and you're like, my maybe, maybe you go too deep. We kind of like hold a little bit of tension. And then there's penetration, where every thrust feels so good. And you're like, wow, this feels amazing. Every time you come inside me, I'm just like, more, I love it, right? And so that's what we're going for. We're going for that complete pelvic floor muscle relax and release response, where we feel the pressure and we say yes to the pressure because it feels so good. It looks like Maya has to leave. Oh yeah, no worries. Thank you for being here, dear. It's great to have you. So we relax and it feels so good. That is the way that I'd love for you to approach perineal massage. It's not about like enduring something uncomfortable. It's about finding the deep relaxation and curiosity of experiencing new sensations of pressure in your body, and for that to be a positive and empowering experience. So when we do the perineal massage, when you, with your own thumb or a tool or a partner, reaches inside and then does a little bit of that gentle pressure outwards this way and gentle downward stretch, and the partner this way, or you are doing this gentle downward stretch the other side, whenever that pressure is applied, go and into your mind and like focus on finding where that spot of muscles are right below that finger, and access those muscles with your mind and focus on completely relaxing those muscles right under this person's finger or right under my finger or this tool where I feel the pressure. I'm going to relax these muscles. This is not only teaching your body to respond to pressure with relaxation, you are actively building neurological connections between your brain and your pelvic floor to be able to access relaxation easier. Pushing is not about tightening your pelvic floor or pushing with your pelvic floor. Pushing is about relaxing your pelvic floor. Reducing the risk for tearing is about relaxing your pelvic floor. So we want to teach our pelvic floor how to do that. And we teach the pelvic floor how to do that through practice and showing your body that it's safe, showing your body that it's okay. You may have experienced a certain amount of pressure in your life through penetration, but has anyone experienced this much pressure? Probably not. And so it's kind of like we're working our way up the ladder before we get to that higher level of pressure by experimenting with new sensations of pressure. And this can feel very, very empowering. I'm going to share a story with you, and this story is a little bit silly, but I'm going to share it anyway. So I was teaching in-person classes. I have been for many years. A few years ago, one of my students came to me after the class. I had taught about perineal massage in the class prior. So in the following class, she came to me afterwards and she said, Victoria, I have been loving the perineal massage. It's been so empowering for me. I actually got a whole fist in there. I was like, wow, good for you. That's great. So anyway, I'm not saying to do this. I'm not telling anyone to do that. I am sharing this story just to illustrate how empowering it was for this mother to approach experiencing new sensations of pressure with curiosity. Getting all the way to that level is not necessary. For that mom, it was really helpful and empowering for her because she got to the point where she was like, wow, if I really relax enough and I get to the place where my physiology is like really aligned for me to like open and soften and relax, in like a sexual environment that can release all those like hormones and stuff like that, where the body, the vagina will respond by opening and softening and expanding and relaxing. In that space, I can access pressure and add to it and add to it and add to it, and I feel neutral. I feel positive. Wow, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know my body could do that. That's so cool, right? That was her experience. So this is how it can be so empowering. But also, you're creating a pathway, like a response pathway in the body. You're training your pelvic floor to go, I feel pressure, I relax into pressure by practicing it again and again and again. But if we haven't practiced, you might feel a new sensation of pressure and go, whoa, that's a lot of pressure, and I want to tighten my muscles against that. Or, wow, that's a lot of pressure. I want to make that stop. I'm going to engage my tummy muscles and push to get my baby out quickly, right? That's another thing that people will do. So we want to practice building positive associations to the feeling of pressure, gaining tools so that you can use those tools, those mantras, those visualizations to help realign you to that feeling of relaxation that you're practicing, to give you something to focus on so that you can release and relax when your baby's coming out. And then we want to create the empowerment and the body response pathway to respond to pressure with relaxation. So that is the summary of perineal massage. Next, let's talk about perineal massage during pushing. We just talked about it in pregnancy. Let's talk about it during pushing. When you're pushing your baby out, so you're in the second stage of labor or the pushing phase, providers sometimes will recommend doing perineal massage to reduce the risk for tearing. Perineal massage during pushing is less of we're going to put one finger in and do a little bit of pressure. It's more like a sweeping motion on the bottom part of the clock, right? We're sweeping the inside of the vagina just downward towards the perineum to promote stretchiness and flexibility in the tissues. So, what does the research have to say on this, and is this an evidence-based way to reduce the risk for tearing? We do have quite a few studies on perineal massage in the second stage of labor. Unfortunately, those studies are all very low quality, so that means that we don't have any good quality research that illustrates that perineal massage is an evidence-based way to reduce the risk for tearing. We do have good quality research in populations that have an 80% episiotomy rate. An episiotomy is where a provider takes sterile scissors and makes a cut through the bottom of the perineum, or through the perineum, the bottom of the vagina, often towards the side a little bit to widen the delivery space. Episiotomy is a procedure that is very harmful, and the evidence-based rate is 1. So it's very, very rare that someone would actually need an episiotomy. It's very outdated. It used to be very popular and it caused a lot of harm. So in populations where there is an 80% episiotomy rate, of course, if we give providers something else to do with their hands in a randomized control trial and say, you guys do the perineal massage and try to withhold, cutting people, they're less likely to cut people because they're busy doing something with their hands. That doesn't apply to the United States, where the rate of episiotomy is about 10 to 15%. In some places, it's more towards 20%, but it averages around 15. So therefore, we don't have any good quality research on our population that illustrates that perineal massage in the second stage actually reduces the risk for tearing. We do have research all around the world that shows that provider hands-on, which means your provider, when the baby is crowning, your provider is touching your perineum, touching your body. Your baby comes out and baby turns, and then they put their hands on baby and guide baby out this way by doing some maneuvers to try to get the shoulders to clear, right? Those hands-on maneuvers do increase your risk for tearing, especially because when your provider has access to your body, especially if you're on your back, they're more likely to cut an episiotomy, and episiotomy increases your risk for severe perineal tear by 22 times. So it is an evidence-based way to reduce your risk for a severe perineal tear by choosing provider hands off, which means your provider is there, hands poised, they're there. They can step in if needed, but they aren't routinely touching your genitals, stretching the vagina open, guiding the baby out. That being said, if your provider doesn't have a high episiotomy rate, it might not make that much of a difference for them to be hands-on, but still the severity of tearing can be reduced with provider being hands-off. Also, there is a time and a place for provider to be hands-on. There is a time where it is appropriate, medically appropriate, to get the baby out faster, maybe because the baby isn't doing well. Perhaps it feels really supportive for you to have provider be hands-on. So you have the right to choose and make whatever choice feels right for you. But just know that since it is evidence-based in general, this is like my general information, I would give more of personalized advice to someone who has like a different situation. But in general, what I like to say is that perineal massage in the second stage of labor when you're pushing is not evidence-based, and it's often better if we're wanting to reduce your risk for tearing for a provider to be hands-off. So hands out of the vagina is probably a better approach based on the research that we have compared to routine hands in the vagina and on the, on the genitals, touching the baby's head, things like that. So yeah, that's just a little bit of information on perineal massage. There are many providers out there that will say perineal massage during pushing is the best. I use it all the time. My clients don't tear, and that's great. And maybe it is helpful for some people in reducing the risk for tears. We just don't have the research yet, the good quality research in our population to say that it offers benefit.